The intent was simple. Visual memory is easy to remember and grasp also, and we want to keep it more interactive in terms of looking at images and storytelling rather than just talking about question and answer format. So I'm going to take my place on the stage, and audiences, if you have questions, you can definitely ask. I know it's getting colder, but this will be short, direct, and then we can all break for our dinner, which will be warm for sure. So I'm moving on to my chair. Thank you very much for allowing me to moderate. Thank you, Council of Architecture, for being so supportive about our decisions on getting people representation from across India on this panel. So I'll just move to the chair. Hello. Yes. I hope I'm audible. Uh, all right. We're going to start with Amrita, of course. We've been talking about how designers. Yesterday we had students asking about how did you decide to do a certain masters? What did you do? So I want to know each one's journey so far. What have you done so far? It's a rather more graphic way of introducing yourself rather than me reading out bios from pages of bios and list of awards. So Amrita, tell us about yourself. How has the journey so far been?
Good evening, all of you. First of all, I'd like to thank Council of Architecture, and whole organizing team, ministry to take all the efforts to call all of us here and giving an opportunity to actually interact with students with this panel as a platform. As we have discussed with Mahesh, like this is going to be whole and soul for students to inspire them or to show them how our journey started. And it's not only about showing a picture or glorifying the picture of what we are recognized with, the awards, but also how we face ups and downs in our career, and that is how so that is how the architectural journey is, and it's not always about winning awards, but it's always about taking a step back, a stable career, again taking a step up. So it's a consistent process of ups and downs. So this is how my first slide shows, and as Mahesh mentioned that I'm an animal lover. So my journey always had my pets together. We have pets in office also, so that's how we carry our journey together. So this is how we started like college life. I'm from MIT Aurangabad, so my schooling, my college, my education, my graduation, my job, everything has been started from Aurangabad. So here I want to mention a point that it's always not necessary that we get admissions in say higher cities, recognized college, well-known college. I always feel anybody from any background, but with passion and attitude and with positive approach, city doesn't matter. It's all about how you work, how you keep your passion on and take yourself ahead. So my journey started from MIT College, and then I did job in a local firm with Alkesh Gangwal and Associates, and that's how I started. And then from 2013 I started my own office. So these slides are very initial projects of my career. So as we are talking about journey, so the first few projects were interior projects, and the first challenge was I was facing about getting an architectural grade. So after starting my own office in 2013, it was like waiting for 3 years to get an architectural grade. And that was the first challenge and patience which I had to go through, because I was not much keen about doing interiors. So every architect, once you pass out and you complete your job, your dream is to get an architectural project. And the architectural project should be of large scale, huge scale, a good huge residence. But again, the challenge was getting a project with a footprint of just 1080 square feet plot area, closed from three sides, and that was the challenge. So that is how the journey started. So, Mahesh, you want to explain me or we
No,
just...
we do the round and then we can go to the second question. So Vishal, I have a similar question to you, of course. You had a diverse background of academia, your own firm, then entire journey panned out so far.
Uh, Thank you, Mahesh. And a teacher also, and a similar time as a practitioner also. The case in time is that I was very sure once I was just getting out of the college that I am equally interested in teaching and I am equally interested in practice. So that's how this entire 2 decades have been. So whether it is about innovating, whether it is about contributing back to the city, or whether it is about being responsible. Like what Amruta was also talking about, the love for the city was one of the major thing that brought me back to Surat. I did my graduation from Surat, then I went for my post-graduation in urban design from Ahmedabad, and then immediately I came back and parallelly started teaching and also had practice. One thing I was very sure at that point in time, wherein still partnership firms or bigger teams were not so much in at the turn of the century, but I was very sure that making teams was going to be very important in coming time. It's not going to be like one red carpet kind of a thing wherein the architect sits at the end of the room on a large table, but it's going to be like more of teamwork, and that's how the entire practice that currently we are having of almost around, it ranges somewhere around 35 to 40 people, kind of comes from that. And how responsibly we can practice is what it has always been something that has been on my mind, and I think education is always kept on challenging me to kind of deliver, because then practice and teaching is kind of both ways, like what you teach, whether you are practicing or not, also becomes very
That
important.
balance is so important.
Yes. So that is how it has been. Personally, I have been very much interested in public projects. So whether they are related to waterfront developments, or whether they are related to creating public spaces in a city, or coming up with some interesting ideas for how we can do good public architecture. So that has been more or less throughout these years that I personally have been engaged. As an office, we do all sorts of projects, from interiors to public projects. But my personal favorites are some of the ones that I have showcased over here. And it has been like years and years of efforts to bring these projects to life, because public projects have a very different kind of a challenge, and I like taking those kind of challenges. So for now, this is what I would like to talk about my journey of these 2 decades.
Yes, quite interesting, and I'm sure it has been satisfying as well. And trying to contribute in the public realm is very important. Aditi, I've known her for 2 decades as well, as a NASA representative, secretary of her college, and then going ahead into doing a collaborative practice, co-founding a studio, and taking up doing a master's in landscape, trying to diversify, and then coming back to do not just landscape but build architecture. How has this transition been at the Propelling Studio?
So, yeah, I think you've covered the boring part of it. So, yeah, so, even I come from a smaller city. I come from Belgaum. And then we sort of, Akshay and me at that point in 2011 decided to set up the Purpling Studio in Bangalore. Now, we started my challenge, or our challenge, or the two of our challenge, was very different from what Amrita was saying. while she started with an interior project, she said, for us the challenge was the first project was a 1 lakh square feet project. So, and we were two of us in the office. It was a private apartment for a client who was, I think, 3 times our age. And it was very kind of him to trust us at that point, and it was an interesting project. But I think we also, spoke, you also told us to speak a little bit about the hits and the misses,
Right.
at that point at least. So after that first project, we happened to do a yoga retreat, which is a part of the Relay Chateau group, which is a group in France. So we did this in Bangalore, and I think this particular project allowed us to experiment completely opposite of what we did in the first project. This is something which sort of told us what is the kind of flavor we like through our practice, the process, the art of storytelling, the people that we want to work with on site, and in the team. By this time, I think we had 4 or 5 people in office. So once that was done, and these are just more images of the project, when we started to explore brick as the material for the first time, and looked at how do you tell the mason how to do
want
this?
it this way.
And then we've given the drawing, but then we've given like 8 degrees, 16 degrees. How's anyone going to know that? So we had to we stood there, teaching him how to use a protractor and things like that. And I think that sort of became a start point for us to know how we can take things forward from there. So that one worked well in terms of the spaces. And then, we said, let's take it forward with another project. And then, we said, here, let's look at how to collaborate with the people who are living in this. It's an apartment.
Right.
So we said, we'll give, pocket balconies. People can grow their own food. We explained how you can grow palak in 30 days. We did all that we did. And then after that, we realized that, it's not always successful. This project we take as a very good example where we really believed in the architecture and the commitment in the collaboration with the people living there. But then you realize that when you have a very open-ended system, it may not always be successful for the people staying there to, for a building to behave the way you want it to. So I think that's something that we learned from this, and then we, changed our process from there on.
Right.
So I think for now, I would like to sort of say
Right.
this.
It's very important to know what changed and what marked the change in the approach, and that's important in a practice, because when you start young, you are too over enthusiastic also, and you are too curious also. So you want to do anything and everything that is coming your way and on your platter. And who better to tell us about this than Mathur sir, because 38 years of practice, done anything and everything that you could see and know about across the city of New Delhi also and everywhere else. But most importantly, has also been a teacher and contributed in the similar manner at the School of Architecture and Planning. So tell us how did this practice and also academia, how did you balance, and what sort of journey it has been?
So first of all, thank you, Council, for counting me amongst the young architects. And you can see on stage, I'm by far the youngest. My hair hasn't even turned black, so it's kind of, I'm very honored to be sitting amongst the bright sparks. Yeah, 65 plus. So Aditi was just talking about she's starting her practice in 2011. That's actually the time when I was starting to close my practice. So, and that that vintage. No, I have nothing to point out. Yeah, so we can skip this. This is more like a lecture opening, which is a standard thing. We can carry on. Yeah, so, well, I'm sorry I did not attend your trial run, so I might be a little haphazard, but the question you asked was about the journey, how it began and all that. So, basically, my journey as an architect and till today, quite, slipshod, very haphazard, you know, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that's the way it's been going, but it has been just too much fun for me to even want to change it. So to begin with, of course, I was fascinated with architecture. I was completely besotted, you could say. But I had no clue what to do. I belonged to a small town. I was born in Aligarh and I was at that time living in Agra when all this was happening, trying to build up career. And I architect is in the country in 1974 and got admission in none of them. I was rejected from all the places. I was rejected from JJ, from MSU, from your Nagpur. Okay, it was VREC at that time, and from Chandigarh. I even applied to VJTI and did not even get there. So, you could understand how much of my understanding of architecture was. The next year, of course, just serendipity, just by chance, I got into SPA. And by God, I took a long time getting out with my BR's degree. Out of 8 years, it took me to
Like
get out.
everybody else.
Yes, very, very long time. So, thak chuka tha uske baad, so there was no question of doing any master or anything like that. And straight away, even before the 8 years was complete, I just jumped into, you could say, practice. I cannot say architectural practice because President of COA is sitting here and he will immediately question me, when did you get your license, which was actually in 1984. So that's how, yes, that's how it is now, 39 years. But otherwise, it's more like 42. So, yes, after I got my license and we set up a practice, it was a very motley group of 5 people from 4 different batches of SPA. Okay, so
You probably had become your classmates by then.
we were never classmates. Only 2 of us were classmates at one time. I have a great day telling people what my batch is. People just randomly ask, okay, which batch? And I kind of mumble, which batch is that? So, it's difficult. So, yes, we straight away started off, and actually we set up practice because there was a project which was coming. So it was kind of, ये project तो आ रहा है, अब तो कुछ करना पड़ेगा, that kind of thing. And it was, yes, it was a very large project. It was a hospital project and 200 beds, 180,000 square feet. College में भी उतना बड़ा project नहीं किया था. So it was very, very tough. But then I think what helped us was the fact that, you have kind of an institutional culture where from top to bottom, your entire, your alumni, they're all kind of consider them to be part of the same group. So many of our teachers helped us, and most importantly, teachers of structures, of services, air conditioning, all of them, we just went to them, sir, कुछ बता दो. So, हाँ ठीक है, तुम drawing बना देना लेकिन सही हम बता देंगे. So yeah, that's how it went. And the other important thing which happened at that time in 1984 was that we had no guts to employ anyone. We are already 5. So on the one side was this courage कि 5 है ना कर लेंगे, and on the other side we had no money to anyone. But we heard that we could get a bank loan if and that I think was the, you can say, the real point of departure for us. So in 1984 we were, I think, amongst the first few firms in the country. In fact, the company which sold us the computer went by the name of Omega Computers. and they sold us a drafting software called Omega Draftsman, and we were the third customers for that company. And it was mind-boggling actually, that whole thing of having, you did AutoCAD on two screens. On one, it was the graphic screen where the drawing was running. On the other one, you had the commands, running. And you had this pen plotter which would do its dance with all the pens. And then the most important thing, you had to put all of this in a dust-free room. Now, how an architect's office can have a dust-free room was for us a big challenge. So that's how we started. We were, you can say, thrown into the deep end of the pool, and from there we kind of walked up to the surface. And through this time, I have been through not one, but at least two. The third one we tried to forget. Partnerships, offices, and now, at one point of time, the group of 5, it imploded. We all went our separate ways, and then we collected again in a different grouping and so on. And now I think all of us are quite tired of it, and in some ways or the other, we are all retired. In the middle, I joined the SPA and started teaching first as a visiting and so on, and then I got absorbed as permanent faculty, and then just 2 months ago I retired from there. So that was the end of the teaching as well. Now I'm back there as Professor Emeritus. That's my journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Quite interesting. Moving to our last panelist on the first question. I met Parth at a very interesting exhibition. A very interesting exhibition that was being put up to showcase the India art, culture and craft. And we realized that there was very little that he did not know about design. His language and his vocabulary was very much more about how a designer would look at solving problems or create design solutions. And then I discussed with him what India Design Clinic is, and he said the idea of it is to take the culture of India to the world. And so tell us about your journey, Parth. How has it been? He's the only non-architect on the panel, so I'm sure we'll have more interesting things to look at, because I believe he comes from a very non-design bachelor background.
So I would like to thank Mahesh for inviting me for this panel discussion. It was a last-minute thing, and I'm a little nervous also, sitting with architects on the stage. But I'll start with a little brief about myself, about my journey. So I did my schooling from Sadapati Vidyalaya in New Delhi, and I went on doing my bachelor's in multimedia from APJ Institute of Design. So I was always inclined towards doing 3D and 2D animation, and that interest actually came when after my 10th boards we used to get 3 months of break, and I joined this institute called Arena Multimedia, and where I was doing this quick course into animation and 2D and graphic design, where actually I developed interest for animation. So bachelor's in multimedia was all about softwares, animation, 2D graphics, and then after completion of my bachelor's, which was a 4-year course, my first job, actually, I had to change that. It was my first internship with NDTV, which got converted into a full-time job. And NDTV actually been a first job and working for a press was something, as a designer, as a graphic person, I was very, क्या बोलते हैं दिल्ली वाली लैंग्वेज में, that प्रेस का कार्ड, प्रेस का स्टिकर गाड़ी में. So I was proud that I got this job and I'm working for a press company, and I learned a lot of things in NDTV. So weirdly, what happened was that during my 1 year of job and 6 months of internship, I realized that this job is becoming very robotic. Yes. So I thought that I am not doing this now. I want to move on. I want something which requires to get in the field, see the markets, meet vendors. So I was researching about colleges. I wanted to pursue my higher education, and the main thing in my head was to do my animation. But there was a mentor, a senior in my office. He actually told me about product design, and I started looking for this course. And I think during that time I just got hold of NID and MIT Pune, which was offering this course. So NID I couldn't crack, but MIT fortunately, yes, I cracked the exam, I cracked the interview. And when I was in MIT in the campus, I managed to get hold of some seniors who were studying product design. So I asked them how's it, how's the curriculum. So they, after all the conversation, they told me that Parth, if you can go abroad, for your higher education, that would be great. And I think I took that feedback, and I actually made a decision to check the foreign universities, and then Domus Academy came in the picture. And I think that was the best decision of my life, to actually move abroad. So as Amrita said, that everything was happening in her hometown. So this schooling, college, job, everything was Delhi. And I think for a designer it was very important that you move out from your cocoon, from your comfort zone, to get the exposure. And I made that choice. I went abroad. I went to Milan. It was wonderful. I got to learn from a lot of people from different nationalities. The best part was to travel across Europe, and actually it opened my horizon as a designer. My thinking process, I became more confident as a designer. So after coming back to India, and actually I remember why I came back to India, because that was the recession time in 2012. And in Italy, I think one of the barriers is the language. So I thought, let's go back to India. And then as a product designer, I had to start everything from scratch. So I was looking for studios, and then my first company was with this very renowned designer, Gunjan Gupta. She's a furniture designer, lights, and her studio was at that time called Rap Art and Design. I joined her. I learned a lot of things, and the best part was that everything was in-house, the factory, the gallery. So I think for me, learning on the job and hands-on on material, sitting with the carpenters, fabricators. So the experience was really fascinating, and then I actually moved from rap, and I joined this architects in Delhi, Vasant Vihar, via design, as a creative designer. And then a couple of more jobs, Josmo Studio with Anjali Modi in Bombay, and the last job was Design Dimensions. It was a graphic design studio. And well, the last job was the saturation point, where I thought that I've gained a lot of knowledge to being a designer. Now I should do something for myself.
You should contribute.
Yes. So I had a lot of ideas, like when I was during my travels and when working with these design studios, I had some designs which was, I thought that once I start my own studio, I will produce these designs. So Design Clinic India was born in 2016, early 2016, and I think it's been almost 7 years And I remember that in 2016, when I started with my room, and I had some 3D renders which I was showing them on my social media. And the first hit actually came when El Decor, India Design ID reached out to me that they wanted me to exhibit the products, as in the design pavilion. And that was something was, I think, for me as a product designer, or maybe you can say a furniture person, was, I think, the best decision that I took that opportunity, exhibited my collection, and I got a lot of appreciation from the industry. And I think, yes, once the appreciation was coming in, I was getting more confident that okay, I'm on the right track, I'm doing the right thing. And for me also, this tagline became the hero, that our country never fails to inspire us. That I was celebrating India through my designs. So I kept on doing that, and I was constant with the designs and everything, and of course a lot of sketching. I love to sketch, a lot of softwares. So these were a couple of my pieces, which and now I think when I designed them, now actually they became really iconic. People can recognize the products, and they can, yeah. So, and I think something which again comes from my travels, which could be a daily scenario in the local markets. So this was a collection which was inspired from the local flower markets of India, which we call Full Mandi. So, and again, important thing is, keeping the names very directive, that Battery stool, Tokri proof. So, I am actually trying to educate also people that, a lot of people are forgetting Hindi, the terminologies that they don't even know ki Battery kya hoti hai. So these all things that, I am just, as a design thinker, I'm just thinking of these things. And yeah, I think this is, I think, more
We'll
will come.
looking at the work in our next question.
Yeah.
Thank you, Partha. We've all understood what the journeys have been, but people watching online as well, also our NASA India Live, and everywhere. Every student, every young designer has this fear of failure, and also everybody has a different story to live. All of us look at challenges in a different light. Some of them look at roadblocks as stepping stones. Some of them take a detour and start another journey. We want to hear about the challenges your young practice looked at, because, like Aditi said, their immediate challenge was to look at a huge site of a apartment of 1 lakh square feet. How do you start dealing with it? So could you all talk about what sort of challenges you started facing in terms of design decisions, or in terms of looking at, as a young practice, what were your roadblocks or creative blocks, or even what were your issues while dealing with people on site? Amrita? Yeah, we will switch to your slides.
So, as I mentioned, like when we started with our engagements, so that was playing very safe. Like what we know, we did it. So it was really very scary to experiment, because getting a project was very important at that time, and getting it done successfully was very much important. So it was very basic work which we learned in our office or during the process of learning. Then, as you mentioned, a challenge. So challenge was, Aditi said, like her challenge was 1 lakh square feet project immediately while starting, but mine was 1000 square feet project. And the first thing was, keep people around you. They may try to demotivate, they may try to inspire. So 1000 square feet project, and few people inspired me, give your best. My heart inspired me, give my best. Few people said, अरे वहाँ जाके कौन देखने वाला है? Like it's like it's in a closed and yeah, the context which I'll show you and khatam kar yaar, like just move on.
It does
It's
happen
like,
that way with
yeah,
most
so
of the
it's just like
improvisers.
तुझे क्या करना है, कौन देखने वाला है, it's not about कौन देखने वाला है. There where I feel कि sometimes we get distracted when we try to work to show,
Right.
and when we forget to work for ourselves and our client. So that was the challenge, fighting with yourself. One time of point, like people around you, when they try to distract you, so you have to fight back and come to your basic, your own self. So I always feel when you work, when architecture is in the form of a mirror,
Right.
what you see in yourself, what you actually look at yourself, it reflects in your work.
Work,
You
yes.
cannot manipulate for long. So this is the formation of team, like as we grew. Now, this is, I always feel, and these slides are always there in my presentation because this always connects me to my work. So when we travel can be anywhere in India, outside India. You can even connect to your neighborhood. So, okay, the first to the topmost corner. This is a vada where I used to stay. It's like neighborhood vada. So I stay in a colony which is a heritage colony. And when I was studying architecture, maybe I was not very keen about it. Slowly I started realizing it. And when I got a first project which had a similar context, so it was like a blessing. Like you don't have to search anything; it is around you. You just have to
live that
explore.
context
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Right.
So this is what the first project was. Like 1080 square feet, closed from three sides. The colony which I live, it's a heritage colony, closed from two sides. A narrow plot, a narrow entry, and a courtyard. So that's how you start connecting when you are passionate about it and when you don't get distracted. So carving out spaces, getting in natural light, and the client requirement was like normal, 4 bedrooms per chahiye hi. So it was like how you.
जितना ज़्यादा बिता सकते हो बिता
Yes,
दो.
yes. And then this is how we worked on the section. So carving out a internal inward looking house as the context was not much interesting. Yet a client wanted to build the house because it was his ancestral property. And the neighborhood was very like a low profile neighborhood. So building a house yet connecting my client to the neighborhood. So it was like okay, keeping this material to very low profile selection of material, yet uplifting the life. So that's
Right.
how we start combining our work.
The drawings are very interesting.
Thank you. So this is how like we started carving out spaces where privacy is also important as well as you start connecting. That's how it turned out.
Right.
And
That challenge of a site of being three side closed,
yeah.
you converted into an opportunity with your context that
Exactly,
you are
this
in.
house has given me a lot. Given me a lot, not in the scale of money at all, because it was my first project. Forget money. Yeah, we were paid, but I won't say we were paid what we expected.
Right.
But let's not count that way. So this actually gave push to my career, and I feel I'm blessed to get a client like this. So no matter what I try to just sum up this, you will face challenges, you will face people who may inspire, who may pull you back, but you should be honest enough to what you're giving back to society. So you have to work for people rather than for yourself, or to show it to society how good or bad design is.
Right, right. Very important. I think it's an important takeaway from that. Vishal, we want to know what sort of, because why I'm asking this question is a lot of yesterday also some of these NASA students had this issue about what sort of challenges, what does a student do? Do a master's, work for someone, work for a year, when do they start on your own, what do they do exactly? So there are these questions that needs to be answered, and I thought I would ask all of you what challenges you faced, or how did you start tackling those challenges. And they don't have to be site, or they don't have to be people. That could be, they could be psychological also. They could be people's way of perception of architecture. So Vishal, how did you look at it?
This is a very interesting example that I'm going to share. The first project where it is written from 2004 to 2015 is the time that it took to get executed.
Wow. I almost thought it was a typo error and I was like,
No.
wondering.
And this was my thesis project.
Wow.
As a student, I did this project. I was introduced to this site for the first time when I was in final year of architecture, and I was like, how can this, and the photograph that you are seeing is completely recreated. It was a dumping ground, which was an original lake, and then it became a dumping ground. Solid waste was being dumped there. Was an antisocial patch in the right in the center of the old city of Surat, 1 lakh square meter of an area. And in my masters, I did thesis on that, and I specifically worked on the implementability portion, because normally we only talk about design. Of course, design is very important and is the backbone of success of any project. But also looked at the implementation part. And the first challenge I took upon me was to propose this directly to the municipal corporation without having any experience as a fresh graduate. And I went there to the director of planning and I said that this is something that needs to be done for the city. And at that point in time, they were not even ready for making it back to a lake. But then, my research paid off, and I kind of brought them documents that any lake historically has to be kept as a lake, and you will have to recreate this.
Right.
And then that's how they said that okay, maybe once if we decide to do this project, we may have to do a competition. We cannot give it the project like that. So and then the competition happened, and then we participated. We won the competition, and we could say that it was one of our first projects, 1 lakh square meter of land, and I would have been around 23 or 24 years old when I actually got this project, and that is where the challenges started. But the challenges just started there. It took almost another 11, 12 years for me to get this project open for public. But it has always been one of my very close to the heart project, and I always a lot of people, like what Amrita was also talking about, a lot of people in the system that would discourage you. Why are you doing this? You're not going to get anything out of it, and so on and so forth. So I in lighter tone used to say that ये जितने साल मेरे को लगेंगे ना, मैं उतने awards इसके अंदर लाऊंगा. And somehow at such times it happens. So this project took almost around 12, 13 years for me to get it executed, and it has won multiple awards, including the Acacia Award, the JK Special Mention, the Delhi Architecture Festival Urban Design Award, NDTV Award for landscape, for socially aware architecture, for environmental initiative, Asian Townscape Award, so on and so forth. The point of telling this is your passion, your hard work never goes in vain. So take challenges. So you are going to face challenges. I would rather say take challenges and convert these obstacles into opportunities. And that is what this project was. And similarly, when we were still in the stage of getting it executed, we took another challenge. At that point in time, my wife was also doing her master's in planning. So we said that okay, let's talk about the other lakes and how the entire water ecosystem can be done in this. And that's how we again got into those other challenges, and also took many other projects of water urbanism into the city of Surat. So these are the kind of things that I wish more and more students should get into. Very important challenge that I feel right now needs to be taken is, and what even Sonali was talking about, adding one USA, built USA every year. So how do we as architects reach to most of the portion of that? Is where we cannot just limit ourselves to smaller works and boutique things and all those kind of things. but we also have to kind of multiply ourselves and reach to the masses and whatever we are. So I think those are the kind of challenges. At that point in time, whatever understanding I had, I started taking, and that somehow multiplied over a period of time, and that's how we started getting a lot of projects. And we, not only from professional point of view, but from the perspective of also getting good ideas for the betterment of cities, the authorities start approaching you, they start looking at you as an important stakeholder in the decision making process.
Right.
And I think that's where these kind of challenges take you towards.
Lovely, very nice. I think our President Council of Architecture has been talking about how why we need more number of architects because we have to reach out to the masses and they all should contribute at the grassroots level. Aditi, your insights on the challenges as early practitioner of design. Right.
So you're asking me about challenges and you're wondering why I have put this picture here.
I almost wondered, yes.
Yes. So the point is that, you mentioned that when we started with 2 people doing 1 lakh square feet. And as we keep going, and that really gave us a certain comfort in terms of scale.
Right.
That is something that we enjoy, larger scales of work. And then from there on, we have been doing a lot of large scale projects, like a 1100 seater auditorium, and, we will just be doing one which is 1500 seater and all that. So, we're looking at very large scale this thing, and, overall that we have campus which, adhere to 30,000 students and all. So when we're looking at that, we realize that these clients who are working with us are also working with a lot of other architects in the country from many decades. Someone like Hockey's contractor also. So, we all know the kind of infrastructure that a large office like that has and the kind of deliverables that they can actually have and support a kind of project, these kind of projects. We cannot be in a bubble saying, okay, we are a studio and, we are 2 people, 3 people, and then, so I think that's when we realized that at one point, because during COVID, actually our projects started getting larger in scale, and we had to really start hiring and learning how to manage. We were 10 people and, now we are 35. So we had to really learn how to manage this growth, and that also told us a very important thing, that a studio, and we still function like a studio, but the team doesn't really need to have only architects.
Right.
It needs to be a good mix of engineers, interior designers, landscape architects, people, a lot of engineers, and we have engineers in office and outside of on sites and who really support the process. I think that was, the challenge of how we are now trying to make things happen and learning from it. I don't say we have achieved it, but yes, that's the process.
I get that. I think one of the challenges is always about living up to the expectations of the output, the infrastructure and the mechanism it requires. To live up to that mechanism itself becomes a challenge, and I think that's what we were trying to highlight about it. Mathur sir, could you tell us about this? It's been a 38 years, 39 years of practice. What were the early challenges? Of course, I could imagine about DDA, but what were the other challenges that you faced in the early practice years?
That is actually very easy. So if DDA is one, DUAC is the other one in Delhi, so and we kind of were up against it in our very first project. So in terms of challenges, in our practice, the biggest challenge was always to have enough time to invest in the project before the deadline comes.
Right.
So uh, and we were always rushed. So our biggest problem always was time. Uh, yes, we could produce something, but even at that time, of course, we used to print blueprints, and then this whole exercise of folding the blueprints and taking the transmittals, I mean, that would, after everything was done, that would take another 24 hours. So those 24 hours were the most difficult for us because at that time we would see things in those drawings. We said, oh, just half an hour more and we could have done that, that kind of thing. So yes, time was a big problem. Getting good consultants was another major problem because all those projects were large ones, and consultants, I have to say at that time, were not terribly innovative. I mean, they had their set ways of thinking,
Right.
and they would just do things like that. And the worst, of course, was that these upstart young architects not saying that no, this is not how we want it. That was not acceptable to them. So that was another big
You
challenge.
can't retaliate to their
Yeah, you can't say that वो सर इसको थोड़ा सा ऐसे करके देख लें क्या, that kind of thing. So that was another big challenge. The management of this business of getting things out of the office and work coming up on site was not such a problem in our initial stages because luckily the projects we had at that time, the clients were PSUs, the contractors were also PSUs. They had a whole big team to support us, and most of the time they had good heads who would actually see our drawings, pick out the mistakes, call us back, call us to the side, कि ये ठीक कर लो, फिर भेज देना correct करके, that kind of thing. So it was a big help. But yes, I think our biggest challenge always was running that phase in a kind of workman-like manner. So I would say in terms of challenges, there are always two kinds of challenges.
Right.
Challenge is the, you can say, the one which is a perpetual challenge,
Right.
which is like a systemic challenge. It has been, I think it must have always been there. It is still there now. It will always be there in the future. And that is three things. Thing is to procure a business. The second is to get or in the correct value. You get paid properly, or rather you get promised to be paid properly. And the third challenge is to actually get paid.
Right.
So those challenges will always be there. The other challenges are always about keeping up with the times, with the technology, with the competition, all of which are there to take your business away from you. So next is the other challenge.
Right, right. Thank you so much. I think these are very practical challenges, and I'm sure everyone comes across in their early career stages. Parth, you've had a different sort of practice, but I'm sure there were challenges because you have been trying to reach out with the product that was not yet in every household or was not known to everyone. So what sort of challenges came across in the last 6-7 years to be tough? Tell us about it.
Right. So my slides are very random, but for me, the biggest challenge in my initial practice when I started off was to find the right karigars or vendors, you can say, because you're a designer, you're a design thinker. Obviously, the kind of designs you want them to make, not everyone was ready to work for you.
Right.
So to find and to train them was something I'm doing that, but initially it took me many years to train a lot of people and to make them understand कि जो आप कर रहे हो और वो जब बन के आएगा तब आपको खुद दिल से खुशी होगी. So this is what I still when I am so for my team, my core team are my karigars actually in my office. So we have
In your photographs that you posted.
yeah, so I always promote them, those are the real heroes. We are designers, we talk about our भर भारत and all that, but there are like 36 things, 36 चीजें हैं दिन में करने के लिए. So you're not, working, you're not making prototypes yourself. But yes, training them was the biggest challenge. And secondly, I think till date, this is not a challenge, but I can say a major keyword for Design Clinic is to stay original. Every time we are designing anything, the major keyword for us is to keep everything fresh, original. And obviously it has to align with India because we are celebrating India. So these were a couple of challenges, and I think the third one was, of course, in my initial days, funds. Because we're just starting, and obviously you're designing furniture, and the kind of furniture we do is very artistic, very niche. So yes, you have to maintain your balance sheets and all that. So funds were a little was a challenge. Yes, it's been picking up, and people have appreciated, and we're happy that people have accepted us, the design community, or wherever we go. I mean, like, people know us. So yeah, I'm happy about that. So yeah.
Lovely, lovely. I remember when we visited your stall, we realized there's also this problem of conveying to people why this could be more adaptable or more appropriate because it's Indianized. Because everything Western is very good, is what people at times believe. So to change that mindset itself is a big challenge in the current contemporary practice. I know we're running short of time and it's getting colder, but Amrita, could you tell us and take us through what opportunities do you see or want to tell the audience about in this contemporary professional practice that we are all into? What message do you want to send across to the students, the young designers, the fresh graduates? But what are the platforms for growth? Because there is so much misguidance is what I feel. The internet has sort of also helped and also ruined the culture of facing challenges or growing your own practice. How do you want to, what's your take on this?
Yeah, exactly. As you mentioned, like internet has actually disturbed our mindset, I would say, because already when we are in college, so we are always under some kind of a pressure, positive, negative, positive competition, healthy competition. But when you enter a professional life, I feel the pressure is actually a negative pressure because we constantly compare ourselves with others, and I feel there is no end to it. Like, you open Instagram profile and you find somebody else has done amazing, oh better, much better than you, but that's going to be never ending. Like, how you going to stop that? So I feel ki, rather than always being into that comparative mode, like, see, it's very simple thing. Like, we are here with mixed um, mixed kind of
yes.
So mine was 1,000 square feet challenge, her was 1 lakh square feet challenge,
right.
but we are here on same platform.
Right.
So how does that matter?
Right.
So the day we start comparing, I feel 50% is sorted.
Right.
And about the opportunities and platform, when I completed my architecture and joined the studio office in Aurangabad, so my mindset was practicing is only the career in architecture. But
Right.
when in all along my like 10 years, 12 years of my experience, I could find out teaching, practicing, be a blogger, you have opportunities. Like, you just step
The
out
spectrum
and
is so wide for all
So
the
it's not about
professionals.
only about practice. Like, everybody has different skills. So there we should first find out our own strength, and that can or maybe guide us where we are good at. Because maybe I'm not a good teacher. If somebody is into teaching, maybe he's not good into practice.
Right.
But that doesn't mean somebody's less or more. It's about what you're good at.
What?
Yeah.
And that exploring that potential, that opportunity at a young career age is very, very important.
Exactly. So that comes when we stop comparing. So sometimes, when we were in college, unfortunately, we used to, जिनको practice नहीं जमता है वो teaching में आते हैं. Like, seriously, this is very very wrong perspective we had कि हाँ practice ही नहीं करते इसलिए ठीक. But when we realized कि teaching is the base where we mold, and actually we are here because of that.
Right,
That time we
right.
realized कि oh, so we have wider range of opportunities without any comparison. It's like world is open for us. So
Right.
that's how we can grow.
Yes, I think Sameep was saying the same thing yesterday. He said, don't stop at anything, just try everything that your heart feels like, because one thing may fit, one thing may not. And in fact, I didn't read the profile of Sonali out completely. She describes herself to be a blogger, writer, poet, traveler, everything, because she's not just an architect. So all of us here, we have different sort of alter personalities of ourselves as well. Some of us like to do photography, some of us write. So I think opportunities as young designers is very important to, diversify as much as possible, pick and choose. Michelle, what's your take on this?
I would like to, explain this through two examples of our practice. One was, during this practice time, we got to kind of, collaborate with international firms. Like there was this one German firm who was kind of doing a project of multiple towers in Surat, almost around 450 apartments. So that was one project. Another was an Australian firm specializing in amusement park was coming up with amusement park in Surat. So, and some or the other how the kind of working system that we had developed gave us the opportunity to be with them as the local partner, and where our role was to coordinate all these things to kind of take it further to make it something that can be executed.
Right.
So not as a liaison architect, because that was not the purpose, but how you kind of get it executed, built, and manage the entire project life. So there we got this opportunity to collaborate and scale up our practice.
Yeah, right.
So because this one was almost around 15 lakh square feet of construction, the other one was on an area of almost around 60,000 square meter, with complex nature of activities like water park, indoor theme park, five-star hotel, and all those kind of things, which at that point in time maybe we would have not got immediately as a project,
Right, as
considering,
projects maybe.
yes,
Yeah.
considering the complexities that were. But we got this opportunity, we took that opportunity, and we developed our learning out of it. So same thing, like I would also like to point out that these kind of collaborations are very, very important, and picking the right things. And this can be the other way around also. Collaborating with somebody like, who is specialized into something, where
Right.
you as a firm deciding on that, whether they are like, somebody who is like, product design, into textile, and that those are the kind of constant collaborations we keep on doing, wherein we also find this, that these opportunities present itself, and then at that point in time you cannot have the bigger ego that no, I will be doing everything.
Everything by myself.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, but whatever you are getting and you are kind of going to get benefited by that is another interesting thing. The last diagram is of an app. It is basically a platform, a SaaS platform, wherein we are the knowledge partner. So with all the kind of data that we gathered over a period of time of almost around 2 decades, one of the junior architect whom I have also taught came to me that I want to develop this kind of SaaS platform for managing projects, and especially for designers and architects office.
Okay.
So how do I do that? I know what I want to do, but I don't have the data. See, the office data that you have gathered over a period of time provided us with this opportunity to share the data and create a platform for doing project management in a. So now this is an open app. It is basically something which is on a subscription model, which is it. So which has nothing to do with design, but the opportunity that the data and the experience that you have presented for somebody to kind of, and now we are a knowledge partner, as a knowledge partner to this entire.
It's a wonderful opportunity for the young designers.
Yes, so you have to keep yourself open from all perspective, whether it is going to the authorities to share your ideas, working with new softwares, as what even Mathu Saab was also talking about. Technology kind of keeps on challenging you, and you have to keep yourself updated, so on and so forth, and pushing yourself with competitions and all those kind of things, which again will take you places. Like we have made it mandatory for ourselves to look for competitions, whether they are national or international, and kind of keep on participating every year, just to look at how at those levels also we are, because otherwise you start becoming more and more complacent in terms of your practices, that okay, we are getting work and that's fine, but then here you challenge. So whether it is this was a competition which was done for Milan Navigli Camel, wherein we were the only Indian firm to get the special mention, then working for Kuwait in Kochi, and many such other things. So opportunities you have to find, or it will present it to you, you have to identify. And I'll just at this I'll stop with a small example. 6-7 years back, somebody came to us that we want to do projects, institutional projects in central India, to all remote places. Not much of fun, very less, but we want to do it. And at that point in time, initially we were not very keen, but then they were insisting, and we started doing that. That provided us with an opportunity. It opened up the entire central region to us, and we are right now doing around 30 to 40 institutional buildings in that area.
Right.
Of course, there are a lot of challenges in terms of costing. Even the working drawings are made in Hindi, so those kind of things. But just because we were open to the idea of working remotely, and we had the kind of portfolio and other systems in place to work, these are the kind of opportunities that got presented. And currently we are like, if I have to count, we are working in 30 cities in India. So those opportunities, if are taken, so the only thing is you have to be open to all sorts of opportunities, and wherever you are good at, just barge into it.
Lovely. Very nice. Aditi, your take on this? We've seen you've done an architecture school also as a part of your portfolio. Tell us about how do you grow how has that growth, or how does a young practice look at platforms and avenues of growing? We will end, sorry, running out of time, can't cover everything.
Yeah, so I think it was, I think everybody knows that you have social media publication awards where your works can go. Even just one work, if you have, can get blown out of proportion really. But I think it is really the storytelling, the communication, the passion and the perseverance one needs to have to do, no matter which vertical that one selects, or many verticals. So I think that is one thing.
I think this is very important for the young students as well as designers, because right communication has been a very challenging thing for students of design, and that passion dies out. Somebody was talking about it, that sooner or later you start realizing that this is not my forte, I don't want to continue to do this. But that perseverance is so important to reach out to the right opportunities. I think Mathu sir is the prime example of this, getting the degree and then still getting into the practice. And social media publication awards are the avenues of publicizing. We've known designers who have received hundreds of awards through their social media campaigning, I would say. Great, these are very important keywords. Anything more you would want to add?
Yeah, so I think while all this is, intact, I think that really just sort of comes to how we
I wanted you to show this, yes.
Yeah, this maybe I'm going to be quick on this.
Yes.
So this was a competition project. We were the youngest and the smallest of the of the participating team, of what we understand. So we won this project. It was an invited competition, and it was about a nearly 1.2 lakh square feet for architecture, fashion design, and interior design school for Manipal. So we did this, and you saw in the previous picture that the whole thing was the whole site was along a valley. So our whole idea was this is the entrance, and the whole idea was for all the studio spaces to be facing towards the valley, so you can actually be a part of the whole scenery while you're there. So that was the point, and then we have a lot of outdoors. I'll show you those pictures. Where we have a lot of outdoor spaces. Now, the story of this facade was that the project was never about this facade. It just became all about it. It was never about this.
Everywhere.
The client, I mean, we never even had a facade, but we were, asked for, a gravity-defying sort of facade, and then we did this. Whereas, typically institutions end up being monumental, where you climb up into this. So in this, while it is there, the actual entrance is from underneath.
Yes.
Yeah. So we did that. These were the terraces, it just opens up, and then there's a large central court, and these are the step courts connected to the design studios, which open onto the valley. And the whole circulation is planned in such a way that you walk, and when you walk, you have to pass through each and every step court of the other studios, so that we are subconsciously making you a part of the whole, exchange of ideas.
Right.
Otherwise,
And the learning process
within a
continues
bubble.
from
Yeah,
one
so you're not
stage to
isolated. So yeah, that's
Yeah, lovely. That's a very interesting project. Thank you, Aditi. Mathur sir, your take on the avenues the young
So, first of all, thank you, Aditi. This is one of my all-time favorite projects. I have studied whatever drawings were available in the media in great detail, simply to understand how do you go from here to there and where do you end up at the end of the corridor and suddenly the valley opens up. Congratulations. It's thrilling.
Thank you.
Okay. So, just as a concluding, statement about what is my message for the youngsters. So my message is just an amplification of what Vishal has said, and it is that you have to keep inventing, and you have to keep reinventing. So you have to keep inventing possibilities of where your acumen can work, and you have to put it in the public domain to show to people that it can work. And then, a few months later, you have to come back and do it again. You have to keep doing it. That's the thing. So, if it's possible to just flip across to, maybe the slide before this. These are the misses. You talked about misses. Yeah, these are my hits. Okay, let's go further onwards. Next. That's my first project, incidentally. It's not my first practice project, but this is my first project. And just this afternoon, after we had this conversation, I was putting something together, and I just thought that should I try, should I not try? And I called up my client's son. My client, of course, for this project is not there anymore. So I just called up his son, and this house is not in Delhi, it's somewhere else. They all live in different places. I just messaged him, do you have anything of that? I just kind of felt nostalgic. And he said, are you joking? I have a complete folder.
Wow.
And he sent me all those little sketches which are done across the dining table and all that. And he said, this is what it is today. And I was so thrilled. This project is done in 1979.
Wow.
Okay? And they said, we don't even move a painting from there. We are just so much in love. And incidentally, now the grandchildren, both the daughters are architects. So, I don't know, some magic must have worked there. Next, please. Next, please. Next, please. Just we can skip all of this. Yeah, this is the way how I want to talk about this. So, this is exactly what Vishal was mentioning. So, this is a project which is quite a famous place in Delhi. If you stay here for 5 days, surely you'll pass this place once. This is at the Ames intersection. It's a junction, and for the time it was made, this was designed in 1997. And for the time it was made, it was a novelty because it was signal free, a completely signal free intersection. And we didn't know anything about bridges, we didn't know anything about flyovers, we didn't know anything about any engineering. And bid was floated by the PWD for this, and we just entered it. And why did we enter it? Because there was no work. And lo and behold, they thought that this was a great design. And then we had to learn all of, traffic geometry, highway engineering, bridge engineering, everything we had to learn, and we had to learn it on the go very, very quickly to realize this project. It was designed by those standards, more than 5-year-old standards. It's still going strong, yes. थोड़ा traffic jam होता है कभी-कभी, but now it's bearing the load of, a lot more roads have been fed into it.
Right.
I suppose because it was thought to be worthy of taking that much. So sometimes I feel very proud that we really went out on a limb somewhere to do something like this,
Right.
and it is actually the pride of the place. So this is very important. Why this is there? So this is a detail of that. How the deck is and how the pillars are. And the story which I wanted to tell was about those pillars. So, it's nice. It's a elliptical plan which is intersected with this kind of wedge shape. So, a little different. And umpteen drawings we made of this.
I'm sure.
And, nobody would come forward to take the tender for the shuttering. Nobody would come forward. And then just by chance it happened that one person had come to Delhi for some work. He worked in the naval shipyard. And he had come for some work and was living with someone who was kind of telling me कि पता नहीं architect लोग आजकल क्या क्या बना देते हैं ये वो something like that. Then he says कि I want to meet this guy. He says why do you want to meet him? Just like that. So he came to our office and he explained who he is. He said कि मैं तो shipyard पे मैं तो ship का काम करता हूँ, मैं तो ship के पूरे sections बनाता हूँ this that and drawings ये सब छोड़ दिया. And the sketch was there on the pin board. And he looked at it. इसके मेरे को समझ में आ गया. तो मैंने कहा तो इसे मैं कर दूंगा. So just out of nowhere from Visakhapatnam, one man suddenly comes that I can do it, and that's the only way it got me.
Right.
So serendipity, chance. तो क्या कहा था उसने? शाहरुख खान ने? वो कायनात business. So when you really want something very strongly, then forces will come to help you.
Good.
That's how we got this done, and it's
Amazing. So you jumped in the pool and then decided whether you want to swim or not, and then learned swimming, and then started swimming. Right. So, Parth, tell us about the opportunities that, of course, your own work has a lot of opportunity. Feel of it.
All right. So I'll be very quick.
Can we switch the slides, please?
Yeah. So keep on going. Yeah. So these are some of the products what I design, and everything is theme based. But just I think you can go in the end because we're talking about opportunities, and I think my co-panelists have already talked about collaborations, competitions, social media. But just go further, because here I will take this liberty to introduce a new venture which I started, and which Mahesh Bhai also in the beginning, in the introduction part, talked about. So Hire Designers is India's largest emotionally intelligent recruitment agency for designers. So this is something I started with 2 other co-founders, where we felt that for young designers, recruitment, getting the right employer job is very important. It's something like an employer looking for the right candidate for their companies, and candidates looking for the right people to, work with. So this is a platform. We thought that, since the industry is so unorganized, the recruitment part, so we chose this niche because we are ourselves designers, and my other co-founders also come from the design industry. So we were facing this issue for ourselves that when we were looking for designers for our own studios, so there were a lot of issues like stability issues, and a lot of others. I mean, like the list is endless. So this platform is for designers by designers. So here we are not just talking about architects. There are 40 plus design disciplines currently in India, which can be textile, fashion. So here in High Designers, we are vetting candidates. We have our internal rounds where we vet candidates, the portfolio, the psychological aspect, the stability issues. Then we have video interviews internally in High Designers before we send any candidates further. So I think for all the young designers, artists, this is a platform for designers. We are not charging anything. The business model is, of course, what we charge is to the clients, the employers. But for candidates, designers, the sign up is free. They're most welcome to sign up. Come on our platforms. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, and it's been 7 months, and we have more than 100K sign-ups already, and we have got so much appreciation from the design industry. And I'm happy that you invited me here. Council of Architecture, Biennale is happening, and people sitting here. I'm like, this is maybe I'm very blessed and honored that I'm presenting the new venture here with you all. So this is one great opportunity for everyone. They can come and sign up, and yes, I think we will help you to find the right match.
Right person for the right job.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll end this here, like with the opportunity part.
Very important. Right person for the right job, and that's how practices grow as well. You learn from the right resources. I know we ran out of time. I'm going to request the Council of Architecture later to invite all of you to do video presentations maybe for the council where we are better able to reach out to the students, create video presentations, and the idea was to expose students to what sort of work all of you do. I'll wrap it up quickly, and I personally feel that young practices do need to dive in the pool and learn to swim after maybe. Also look at collaborations, because I think the new age practices are all about collaborations. Also look at growing potential, look at increasing strengths, go from one strength to another. Also not compare, look at our own trajectory and build accordingly. And most importantly is to diversify from one stream into another if you realize your own potential. I think those are the takeaways from each one of you today. Thank you very much, all of you. Round of applause for each one of them. Really, thank you very much. I can't thank all of you enough, because on a very simple WhatsApp request, each one of you quickly agreed to be a part of this panel and be here today in Delhi. So I think it's my honor to have hosted all of you here. Thank you very much. Round of applause, guys. Thank you. I'll invite Professor Architect Abhay Purohit ji, President Council of Architecture, on stage to felicitate our panelists one after another. And also I will request the President of NASA India, Hari, to be on stage as well. We'll felicitate our panelists this evening. We'll start with Architect Amruta Daulatabadkar. I'll request Abhay sir to felicitate Amruta. Then go to school. Right. Architect Amruta Daulatabadkar from Aurangabad. Very interesting practice. All those who are here and all those who are watching online and would watch this online later, do follow these practices on social media. All of them are doing some niche work. There's the Indian Arch magazine from NASA India, and then a small gift from Council of Architecture as a memorabilia from Samanidhi 2023. Thank you. Architect Vishal Shah from Surat. Requesting Abhay sir to felicitate Architect Vishal Shah. And the Indian Arch and the gift from the Council of Architecture. Next, we felicitate Aditi Pai from Bengaluru, the Purple Ink Studio. Professor Mathur, Architect Manoj Mathur from New Delhi, very own New Delhi. It must be very sort of funny to receive a certificate but I thought it was a good memory to have as a certificate of being a panelist here, a certificate of appreciation signed by the ministry, the Indian Arch. Professor Mathur also moderates the ANDC trophy this year at NASA India. Right. Thank you very much. And last but not the least, Parth Parekh from New Delhi again, from say Noida. Yes, Parth is here very much, and thanks Parth. I added you very last minute to this panel because I thought something new could be added in terms of perspectives, and all of us could, what do you say, learn from this collaboration.
The next felicitation, Professor Mahesh Bangad for being the moderator for today's session. Thank you, Mahesh sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Let's pose for a group photograph and then we can all proceed for